Of course, recently, the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission drew the new maps for the state of Michigan's elections, both state House and state Senate, as well as federal House districts for the next 10 years. And so the new District 12 here in southeastern Michigan includes Livonia, Dearborn, Southfield, and Northwest Detroit. And one of the people that will be running for that office in the 12th district is Michelle Wooddell, a Southfield resident who recently announced her candidacy actually this week on Tuesday, February 8th. And she joins us now on the MegaCast. Michelle, thank you for being with us.
It's great to be here.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, tell us a little bit about your background, and then after that, tell us what got you interested in running for office in the 12th district.
Absolutely, thank you. So first and foremost, I'm a mom. You know, my husband and I live in Southfield. We have 2 adopted children who I have to confess are teenagers now. I guess it had to happen. You know, I am a teacher, so I work at Grand Valley State University. And I'm an associate professor there. I teach community leadership and public administration, so government. And then, you know, I have my own business. I'm a small business owner. My team and I work with the community organizations in Metro Detroit, and we help them with everything from fundraising and marketing to management and operations. So I've worked side by side for about 20 years with a lot of the organizations that are doing the hard work, like rolling up their sleeves and really making a difference for families in our community. And honestly, I never thought that I would be running for office, let alone Congress. But when I saw the new redistricting lines come out and I saw that my congresswoman currently is retiring and that Debbie Dingell would be moving to Ann Arbor, I realized that it was time to seriously think about making a difference in a different way. And I didn't feel that the people who had announced already to be in the 12th district, who don't live in the 12th district but are moving in to run, I did not feel that they would represent us well.
So then, Michelle, with that being the case, with your belief that those that are running may not be the best candidates to represent the 12th district, without explaining why you believe that for them, explain for our audience, especially those in the 12th district watching on different outlets such as City Cable 15 of Southfield with us every day, why you are the right person for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I'm locally focused. I believe that a congresswoman or congressman's most important job is to make sure that they are listening to and responding to the needs of their constituents. And this is a very diverse district, right? It goes from Inkster to Franklin and Livonia to Northwest Detroit and almost everywhere in between. And it's important that we have somebody who represents all of us and who can listen to all of us and who, quite frankly, cares about all of us. And so that's what really prompted me to get into the race. I did not feel that the other folks who were running or who I'll be running against were able to say that.
And so you mentioned that people like Debbie Dingell are switching districts, and of course Brenda Lawrence served in a district that covered Southfield in particular, where you lived for such a long time, and previously, before her time in the U.S. Congress, had heavy involvement in the city of Southfield and in the local area in a number of different capacities. How much of a factor did replacing her, someone that had been local, that had been in that area and lived in that district for so long and had that consistent leadership, how important to you was it when you were considering running for office to maintain that element of what Representative Lawrence has brought to this office for so many years before you ultimately decided to announce your candidacy on February 8th?
Yeah. So first off, let me say that I don't think anybody can replace Representative Lawrence. I think I talked to her this week and told her I thought she was just the epitome of a congresswoman who focuses on her constituents, quite frankly. But beyond that, I was born in Dearborn, so I come from Wayne County, if you will. I now live in Oakland County and make my home here and have for, the last couple decades. And so I'm in a unique position that I have been in and my family has lived in for a long, long time, both of the counties that I would be representing, as well as a number of the cities that I would be representing. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and we're joined by Michelle Wooddell, the Democratic candidate for Michigan's new 12th district here in the state of Michigan, joining us on the MegaCast. And part of the trickiness of new districts and even of the old districts, especially in the age of gerrymandering, regardless of which party was doing that gerrymandering, was those parts of the state that were mixed between different counties, between cities that were very different from one another. Because ultimately, should you be elected to this office, heck, should you be nominated by the Democratic Party as their candidate on the final ballot for this office, you have to be able to balance the needs of Wayne County, the needs of Southwest Detroit and Dearborn, of course, in Wayne County, and places like Southfield and Livonia here in Oakland County as well. How do you approach that kind of balance? Because Wayne County and Oakland County have a lot of similarities, being in southeastern Michigan, being in this local area. There's so much interconnection, but there are a lot of key differences, particularly economically, in those two areas, and so that affects policy across the board.
Absolutely. So before deciding to run, while I was thinking about it, I took 2 or 3 weeks and I went out to every city in the district, and I sat in on city council meetings. I sat in on, other community neighborhood meetings, and really listened to the concerns and what people were saying. And, in Dearborn, it might be public safety, whereas in Livonia, it might be more economic concerns. Here in Southfield, I was talking to, some representatives from OCC this week, and, they were talking about higher education and some of the issues that you were referring to earlier of, our high schoolers are not going to Michigan colleges in the same numbers that they have been in the past. And what are we going to do about that? And what are the implications? So you're right that every district, every neighborhood has its own issues. And the key is finding someone who will listen, who will have solutions, and who will roll up their sleeves and get the work done. And, that's really what I've done for 20 years. I mean, my team and I have worked with nonprofit organizations in pretty much every part of the 12th district, from Starfish Family Services in Inkster to Beyond Basics in, Southfield, to Rack It Up Detroit in Northwest Detroit, and everywhere in between. And each one of them has something different that they're trying to do, a difference that they're trying to make. And each one of them has different things that they would need from their congressional representative. And that's what I want to do.
We're joined by Michelle Wooddell, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 12th Congressional District, joining us on the MegaCast. Announced her candidacy on February 8th, just earlier on this week. A University of Michigan and Wayne State alumnus, also currently a tenured associate professor at Grand Valley State University. And you mentioned work with nonprofits and your work in the community through a nonprofit that you actually found, Nonprofit Spot LLC, in 2013. That's your business that you found, helping to connect some of these different nonprofits. How does that experience help to inform your abilities or your skill set, better yet, that you would be able to put toward supporting our local area, both the parts of Wayne County and Oakland County in this particular district at the federal level by taking over the seat?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question that, to know these community leaders, these activists, these organizers who are out there doing the hard work every day, you can see the things that they need, the help that they need. And, my interest, both academically and in terms of my business, has really been on bringing together different sectors. So the public sector has a role to play, the private sector has a role to play, the nonprofit sector has a role to play, bringing them together for solutions. Before we got on, I was listening to the advertisement for 211. And it took me back to, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was part of putting 211 together. And it really required, the United Way, it required business leaders, it required, the public entities in the city of Detroit and Wayne County, and everybody having to come together to really make sure that we could get a system that worked for everybody. That's what I want. That's what I believe the right solution is.
And so what do we need to make that happen, Michelle? What do you believe that we need? Because it seems like, especially of late in the last several years, that the political divides in our local area that has such a great mixture too, of those that lean Democrat, those that lean Republican, those that are moderate or are in the middle and maybe bounce between affiliation with candidates from one party versus another. It seems that those divides, that rift, has gotten larger and larger over time. And so being able to work through solutions, especially in such a partisan political landscape that we're in right now, and balancing the needs of people with a variety of different beliefs can be really difficult. How do you plan, should you be elected to office, and even in your campaign as you're trying to unite your district and ultimately get their vote, to help bridge that divide?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. And I'm tired of the division. I'm tired of, opening, whether it's my Twitter account or my Facebook or whatever, and seeing people sniping at one another and seeing my congressional representatives sniping at one another. We're only going to find the solutions and be able to enact them if we all work together. And there are things that we can agree on, and that's what we need to focus on first. When I was getting ready, and there's a lot that goes into putting together a political campaign, and everybody was encouraging me, okay, it's got to be Michelle Wooddell for Congress. It's got to be that. Actually, my website is uniteth12th.com. It does not have my name in it because it's not about me. Yes, I would be the representative of the district, but it's really about the 770,000 people that I would represent and what their needs are.
We're joined by Michelle Wooddell, candidate for Michigan's 12th Congressional District, running as the Democrat, joining us on the MegaCast. And so, Michelle, you mentioned that this decision for you to run for office is fairly recent. Have you ever in the past had any inkling at all to run for political office, or is this something that really did just pop up recently and you decided, now's a good time for someone like me to be running for office?
I was a good political science major at Michigan, and I did an internship on Capitol Hill for a little while. And then I headed into the nonprofit sector, and I really found my calling there and worked at, the College for Creative Studies and the Detroit Historical Society, and really found my love. And, with teaching, I get to teach people about the nonprofit sector and the public sector and how we all work together and all these social innovations that we want to be thinking about to really solve our problems. You won't find anyone who has heard me ever utter the phrase, boy, I'd like to run for Congress. It's not something I think that average people think about. And I've seen that even in the time since I've announced. But the reaction that I've gotten from, just a mom who wants to make a difference and is tired of the division. I'm tired of everybody fighting with one another. I want my representatives in Congress fighting for me and fighting for my family, not fighting with the other side.
Michelle, just another couple minutes with you. Give us your website again if people want to go visit that and learn more information, especially those in the 12th Congressional District that may be voting for you or considering all the candidates available.
Absolutely. So it's uniteth12th.com. You can also find us on, Twitter and Facebook with Michelle Wooddell for Congress or at Unite12th.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Again, more information, uniteth12th.org or .com. .com. Thank you very much. uniteth12th.com.